authentic gratification would be the type of serotonin hits you get from an actual relationship with somebody that's IRL.
Maria's some character from some damn anime, whatever like that. Maria's never gonna cheat on you. Maria's never gonna tell you no. Maria's never gonna give you attitude. Maria's never gonna do any of this shit. And since she's a fictional character, whatever the hell that you can imagine Maria's doing is whatever Maria's going to do. And you can get the same dopamine, you can get the same happiness.
How do y'all think we should fix this? Or
you can't.
Any solutions?
You can't fix it. There is
no. Kpop has like their South Thing fans, but the stuff that be going on in Japan, that we even had a couple kidnappings themselves. Like literally, one girl almost got kidnapped right off the stage in the middle of a performance.
Parasocial relationships are one-sided relationships between celebrities and or fictional characters. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
I think they're horrible for society. I'm not gonna lie.
Damn.
I think it's nothing but.
I didn't think why don't you?
Yeah, I think it does nothing but degrade the human psyche, especially when it turns into bad habits that go unchecked, and the only people that benefit from it are their corporations.
Like you said, it's bad for a corporation, but I mean, depending on who that person is, it gives them something to live for. Question mark? Like I don't. Like people are like, I'm gonna be just as blunt. I can only be blunt. People are crazy, right? So they have these.
Or better with PTSD, but listening to freaking I don't know, Red Velvet keeps the sounds of gunshots and bombs from re-entering my mind. The ghosts go away when I listen to New Jeans, ETA.
Wait, what the? Wait, okay, hold on, wait, back up. Wait.
No, continue, Mel. Just for being a hen ass.
Like, let's just dial it back real quick. How did we get here? No, okay, because people are just, I don't know. People are crazy. People are weird, right? They get into their heads that they have these lives with all these celebrities, right? And like you had brought up before, like it's especially prevalent, not saying it's nowhere else, but it's really prevalent in the K-pop and J industry, right? Japan industry and all that stuff. Of how all these people is like, oh my God, like I really know this man. Like I know where he lives. I literally know what his bath water tastes like. I'm just like, dog, that's spooky stuff. But it's also, I guess, giving them a purpose for those who don't seem to like have a purpose in life, I guess. And so like I don't want to say I can see why they do it, but like I see why they do it type shit. I don't know, man. I'm trying. It's stupid. I hate it. I don't understand it. I don't see how you can. Like I said, you're crazy. You have legitimate like something up here that doesn't work correctly, to where you think you have this god tier life with Jungkook from BTS, and as soon as y'all meet, y'all are gonna have babies, and like where this man stays. You have this man's cell phone number. Hell. Probably got a social security number if they got that in Korea. I literally don't know, but
you built different if you get all that.
No, they literally do. They have a word for that in Korea called sasaeng. They're literal stalkers, but they have that information. There's been so much video evidence of these stalkers literally going to the same hotel, knowing their exact hotel room for these idols, having their personal cell phone numbers, and literally calling them during like when they go live on like TikTok or like V Live and all that kind of stuff. Be calling them during the lives, and the idols will just see it and see. Obviously, it's like an unknown number. Obviously, they don't have it, and it's weird. Like I don't know how to get this information, but it's legitimately weird, and I don't understand how you can do that as an actual human being. Like
I thought you were supposed to be I thought you were supposed to be speaking for them, not going against the parasocial relationship.
Okay, no. Okay, wait, no. That's what I'm saying. Like like I see why. Like I can see why they do that. Because if let's say their home life is like extra terrible or something, like I don't know. I can't assume. I'm gonna assume the worst. Let's say their home life is just the worst thing you can imagine, right? So you can almost associate this with like DID almost in a way, to where this fictitious relationship they have with whoever it is or whatever it is, because like you said, fictional characters as well, because people are strangers, right?
Hmm.
They, created this altered lifestyle in their head because of just whatever trauma or whatever situations are going on. So this is how they escape. So because of that, they see they have this life that they're envisioning. It's like the best life ever. And in their best life ever, they're living with and being with in all these kind of weird ass ways with this idol or with this skin like cartoon character, anime character, whatever it may be. Like I can see why that it happens, why a parasocial relationship could happen. Because who know like I said, I don't understand it, but I could see how it could get to that level because they're trying to escape. It's just like drugs. When people are trying to escape, they go to drugs. These people just choose to go to a real life
What do
person.
you mean by What do you mean specifically by you don't understand it? Like how per se it works in the brain for them to get there, or
I guess yeah, because again, I don't know what it takes to get somebody to have a parasocial relationship. I personally can't see that happening. Like if I try to envision that for myself, I'm just going to like punch myself in the face because what the fuck is wrong with me? Type
well,
shit.
during this conversation, I believe I'll be able to educate you and the audience on how people can get to that conclusion in the first place. But before we even get that far, Giancarlo, you got what's your general opinion on parasocial relationships in general?
Opinion.
I think it depends on the level of it.
What
So,
level?
not even necessarily being a bridge. I think that there's levels to it because, well, I would like to first, like, what do you mean by parasocial? Give me a quick definition of what
So
you mean.
the definition that I have down here, because this is a definition that was literally created by Asia. I think it started in China actually. They literally created the definition to represent specifically what it is, and it's one-sided between celebrities and slash fictional characters. That's the general definition.
One-sided.
So
So,
Yeah, a
like
one-sided
yandere,
relationship.
right?
So, huh? Wait, repeat what you said?
Like yandere type stuff.
no, yandere is a whole different. That's something completely different.
That's
One.
something. Oh, I thought it was
No,
the same thing.
yanderes are like people that are willing to. It's that times like 50.
So the
It's
idea
not a
behind it.
yandere for you. Like they're ready to physically hurt. Like it's complicated.
I mean, there's some people out there who are like that with these
Not
things.
just willing, like they are. They will, like they have done it. Like
Oh, okay, I got it.
yeah. Like,
And
oh, I like Jungkook so much that I'll even hurt the rest of the members type. That's those type of people.
and to a certain extent, it can be taken that far. It can't be,
Okay.
but that yandere is more from Japanese culture. This
Yeah,
specific
that's like a
definition originated from China and is used to describe these other relationships between K-pop idols, which is
okay.
what's trendy right now, and also
Okay.
anime characters.
So like the reason why I said there's levels to it because I think that K-pop idols and then like let's say anime characters are the biggest examples of this type of stuff that's happening, right? Where you have people that are in love with either an idol or in love with the character. And obviously, I would say it's worse for it to be an idol than a character, in my opinion, because let's say that you have a really, really strong attraction or relationship to some character. Well, it's some triangles and some circles on a piece of paper at the end of the day. Who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Like if that's what you
Yeah,
want to get into, then okay. But when it comes to real people, it's a little bit different. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And you have some people that are all like, oh, but like you're doing blah 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 over a cartoon or something like that. Okay, but it's not a real person. Not saying that either or is any. Well, I mean, I am kind of saying one's, you know what I mean, worse than the
yeah,
other. It's still essentially the same thing, so it's not like it's any better. But I mean, nobody's going to meet Gojo in real life. Nobody's going to meet nobody. Like these aren't people walking around the street in Shibuya right now.
not
And so like yeah, you're fantasizing over an anime character, big whoop. Um Now the reason why I say there's levels to it is because getting into a little bit of what let's say Mel was saying, you have some people where they can be and I know some people like this, right? Where let's say that their everyday life probably just isn't super. Now, it doesn't even necessarily have to be bad or as not fulfilling, but you can combine. You can kind of like um uh, put this up and contrast it towards, like, let's say, sports. A lot of people, they do what they do, they work their jobs, do whatever they want to, you know what I mean? Maybe, let's say, go to church on Sundays, but then Sunday afternoon they want to sit in front of the TV and watch their favorite sports team. They go through all their emotions with it, happy, sad, whatever, like that. It's like they're soap operas. You know what I mean? You have some people, they just want to watch their favorite show or watch their favorite anime, something like that. You know what I mean? Something that just gives somebody like that. I don't know exactly what the scientific word is, but it just makes them feel at peace, makes them feel home with whatever it's like a hobby of theirs, right? Now, obviously, it's a little bit different when you're talking about a specific person, because you can be like, okay, somebody's hobby is K-pop music. Or maybe like Twice in general. Like, let's just say Twice, the K-pop group. Okay, when they release a song, I really like it. It's not necessarily just a member. That's why I think it can get to a little bit more of a certain extremist. So, like, let's say I'm gonna use myself for example. I think that I'm a pretty good example of this. Yes, that, like, there are some anime characters that I like, there are some idols that I like and stuff like that. That's perfectly fine. I think where the levels are is you have somebody that could be like, oh, this character is attractive or this idol's attractive, and then that's it. You know what I'm saying? Versus somebody that could be like, oh, this character is attractive, and he also calls me every single day and texts me. No, he doesn't. Or he's not even real. Or even worse, like, let's say with the idol, because with that idol, since they are real, it's a little bit more of like a safety thing, kind of like what Mel was saying. You got people that are trying to actually figure out what's really going on with these people's real lives, getting their addresses, getting some of their private phone numbers and private stuff like that. That's where I think that the levels get to it like a little bit worse, be it regardless of like what you are, boy or girl. But ooh, you know what I'm saying? I think that depending on the level will depend on whether I think it's bad or good. Because if you just like a character, or maybe like find somebody attractive in a group, I don't think that's necessarily bad. Who cares? It's nothing. It's not harming anybody, not necessarily harming yourself. You know what I mean? But I think that when you get to a certain level, to where it's starting to be like extremely weird, like, oh, I'm married to Sonic the Hedgehog face ass or some stupid shit like that, then it's like, okay, when's the last time that you've actually talked to a human? You know what I mean?
Was better. He's more attractive.
So it's like, I think that there's just levels to it, and then at the same exact time, people find their happy places and whatever they want, and as long as they can cope with what they cope with, it is what it is. But I think that it's a little bit more. I think the K-pop side is a little bit more spookier than the anime side, in my opinion, just because these are real people we're talking about, and like, whoa. Like, behind the scenes, you like this person, okay, cool, sure. I like K-pop idols too. Y'all know it. But like, I'm not actively sitting here saying that, like, oh yeah, bro, like, she's going to live with me and all that stuff. Like, I don't know. Those would be the same people that you try to tell them that, like, yo, those K-pop idols don't act like that in real life. They're in their everyday life, and then they'll freaking tweak out. No, they're gifts from the heavens. They never be mad. They're never this. They're never that. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure they never use the bathroom either. Like, come on, bro. Like, I don't know. Go talk to some people, like real people.
Please.
I think that that's my little like summarization of it. I do, I guess you could say, well, I don't know. I mean, if we're talking about strictly just the K-pop idols, then I think that my Japanese male statistic probably, I don't know if that's.
I'd say they definitely actually fall within the same category, but since y'all's channel specializes in the genre of K-pop, that's what the topic is for today.
Oh wait, I thought it was just like.
It's for anything. It can be anything. Just
Okay, I was about to say because I know in Japan they got that stuff real bad too, like especially with all the
Yeah,
emo idols. Like
Japan
it's
has it real bad.
yeah,
like
there's
that.
that anime.
Japan has it worse, in my
They're
opinion.
like extra creepy. Like I know K-pop has like their South Thing fans, but the stuff that be going on in Japan, that Korea then had a couple kidnappings themselves. Like literally, one girl almost got kidnapped right off the stage in the middle of a performance.
That's wild.
Wait, have y'all not heard about that?
No.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, no, it was during a Girls' Generation concert. Don't ask me where. But literally, in the middle of performance, some guy came from backstage, grabbed one of the girls and was like slowly walking her off stage, and everyone was like, "What the hell is going on?" Like it took them a minute to be like, maybe we should do something." It was the weirdest thing that I've ever seen in my life. It was the weirdest video I've ever seen because I'm just like, what is this? And that's not the only time, but it's I don't know. There might be more instances out there, but I know that's like the most famous one. But I know what would be going on in Japan. That's another ball game. Like Jesus, like that's built different over there.
I could speak
Well,
on it. Yeah.
you remember that remember that one K-pop idol, Giancarlo? Was it Kylie, right? Kylie?
Who? What are you talking about?
This is one K-pop idol. I don't know if it was black male, but remember they uploaded a video about.
Oh, you're talking about oof.
No, y'all talking about? I'm nosy.
The one that had that special video on the hub.
Oh, you mean Ailey? Yeah, that
Ailey,
was
I said Kylie.
stuff. Yeah, no, Ailey. Yeah, that was legitimately revenge. Whatever. That should have been dealt with, but no,
I don't
because
think that's under the same realm though. That's just a relationship she had with somebody, and
Oh, that was
they
actually a relationship. That's
yeah, but
wild.
that constitute as revenge.
I mean, yeah, it's revenge, but I don't know. I would compare it to the topic that we're talking about. We're talking about people that will never
No,
get in that space, even in their dreams.
yeah, no, it's not. But like, and then we're talking about like the American aspect, the Korean, the Chinese, and who's to say what it is in like all them other countries too? Because we don't really know the music industry in the other countries. Like, who's
Well,
to say that it's like in like Germany or something, or like Mozambique? Shut up. And or like Thailand, because Thailand got all like them BL actors. Who's to say what kind of parasocial stuff they got going on in the other countries too? Like it's a weird. I don't want to use the word epidemic because it really isn't. It's a weird thing that's happening all over,
it's an
and it's
epidemic,
just like,
definitely, and it's not being stopped in any way.
well, no, because like you said, corporations are feeding on this. Like, because I know K-pop more than anything. Like with all these Stray Kids, right? Stray Kids has 8 members. Each of the members has their own merch, right? Because each member has their merch, the Sasaeng could just get buy all of their faves. Like if their favorite was like Felix, buy all of Felix's stuff. Now their room is just covered in Felix stuff. And it's feeding more and more into the Delulu that the parasocial thing is feeding into or is, you know, becoming. And it's just it's strange.
Yes.
And I doubt it will ever be stopped because it's a moneymaker. I mean, just like cancer, in my opinion, that's another topic for another video. But
Right, but it's the
like,
same.
why stop something that's going to make money? Because that's what it all boils down to. Why stop something if it's going to make me money? Yeah, they're being crazy, but I just made $1 million off of selling all this Felix merch. Not going to stop that. Why would I?
Well, I don't necessarily think there should be any sort of policies or laws to go against people wanting to do it because it'd be like for cigarettes. They stopped creating ads for cigarettes, and any ad related to cigarettes is usually to get people to stop smoking any sorts of nicotine products. So they don't have to promote it, but they can, and they don't have to do any ads to de-escalate it either, but it's stop contributing to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that I guess I can use this to lead into one of my examples is it leads to bad spending habits. We've been into the K-pop shops where you go to buy albums, but alongside the albums, usually with the albums comes photo cards or album shit you can put inside of your wallet. Like that's all cool and all. Like posters and shit is cool, but like what to
Like
me
going out and collecting all the photo cards,
yeah, I
like you're
think John
paying
Carlo was telling me about how
$10 for a photo card, and like,
yeah, people will dead he was telling me about no, he didn't tell me about it. I was watching a documentary about how people will dead ass buy it'd be like Pokemon cards or trading card games where you only get specific members for a group and an album that
mhm,
they're selling, and they'll sell multiple different albums. So people
yep,
will buy they'll spend hundreds or thousands of whatever their currency is to get these albums just for the
Yep.
cards and then throw the albums away. And it creates a shit ton of waste to where it's just like outside of the store, it'd be just a bunch of albums laying in the streets because all people wanted was the collectibles.
That's what I mean. Even like now, like I'm gonna take my music taste for example, right? Or a lot of these times now, ever since COVID happened, granted they was doing this before, but it's more prevalent now, where if you buy an album, then you get a chance to. That's basically an entry into in a FaceTime video call. Oh, a FaceTime video call with your idol that you want or whatever, right? The more albums you buy, the more chances you get. And so you'll have all these people buying like hundreds of dollars worth of albums just to get a chance for like 30 seconds to talk to the group that they want to like. Again, I'm going to use Stray Kids because I'm blanking out on other stuff. But you get 30 seconds to talk to 8 people who will not really remember you, like in the slightest bit. There's an off chance they can because it's happened before. But if it's happened before, that means you spent hundreds of thousands of dollars before to do the exact same thing. And even then, you have those people who are being very weird and creepy because of the Lulu in their head of them just saying the wildest, randomest stuff to their so-called favorite idol. And then, like you said, you have all these people buying all these albums and posters and stuff strictly for the photo cards. Like I remember I walked into some like a thrift store of sort. I saw a BTS album. It was open. I was like, you know what? It's like $8. I'll buy it. I bought it, no photo card, nothing else. Everything that goes in that album, it was all gone. Because that's all they wanted. They just wanted the photo card and whatever mini poster was in there, and then they just tossed the album out. Like that's the hell. Like that's wasteful. So that's very much so contributing. But again, we're feeding the Lulu because the Lulu is better than reality. Which my
And
bad.
yeah, and around there is when you sort of get into asking, well, how does that even happen chemically in the brain in the first place? I assume you all also agree that this leads to bad spending habits as well, Giancarlo?
Yeah, it can lead to bad spending habits, but there's a lot of like going back to what I was saying. I mean, like, just depends on how you look at it. I think there's levels to it.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
mean, people buy certain things for entertainment all the time. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You could say buying video games are bad habits, bad spending habits, because unless you're going to make money off of them, there's no real return in investment other than your entertainment, which is
I
the same thing
yeah,
with
yeah,
albums. I
yeah.
mean, some people buy albums and just like looking at the posters and looking at the pictures, and that's their entertainment. People buy video games and play them. That's their entertainment. They don't. Neither party gets anything back. You know what I mean? That's why I say it's levels. I mean, depends on what you're in there for. Like, let's say me, I have albums. Mel has albums, but I mean, hopefully Mel's like me. I mean, I don't want to speak out of place with it, but I'm not buying these albums hoping that I'm about to, freaking do something weird with them.
You don't want to make a shrine out of it?
No, I don't. They're in a bag. They're in a bag in the corner.
Bro, it's
Y'all
like
been in my room before. There's nothing crazy going on in here.
it's one thing if
Sure.
they're just these corporations just have albums being sold, one album per album that they make. But like they have multiple albums, and the only thing that changes, and even the songs on the albums, it's which member is probably on the
Yeah.
cover of the album and which
Yep.
photos.
Yeah.
And I guess a comparison to that would be like how we recently played Pokemon Scarlet and what was the other one, Violet.
Yeah.
It's like it'd be like if you don't get to play the full story. You have to buy both in order to play the full story. Like you play Scarlet, but you have to buy Violet as well, and then continue your save file on Violet to play the rest of the story.
I
That would
don't
be
know if that's a
insane.
good. I don't know if that's a good
That's
way
not a
to
good. It's
go.
probably not because what I'm referring to is more
And
like gotcha. That's probably
yeah,
where
I
they
was gonna
got it
say. I
from,
think
bro.
I was gonna say. I think that pretty much what you just explained within the albums and the Pokemon thing is the same exact thing. It's at base the same exact game. At base, it's the same album. And
Yeah.
Scarlet, you have certain Pokemon that you can't get in Violet. And this in one album, you have certain things you might not get in the other album. But at base,
Yeah.
it's the same stuff. It's not like you get the album and only half of the books in there and half of the songs are in there, and you got to get another album to get the other half. The only reason you're getting another album, usually 9 times out of 10, is if you are looking for a certain person.
Right.
Like
Mhm.
if you want, like let's say if I want a certain photo card of Gahyun from Dreamcatcher, I'll buy a Dreamcatcher album. I got GU. But I really want a Gahyun card or some crap like that. Well then I will buy another one in hopes to get, GU. That's more or less going into the gotcha aspect, like you were saying. Which I mean, at base, that's why I keep saying it depends on the levels to it. I mean, if you're just somebody that wants the album and you just get the album and whatever you get is whatever you get, it's whatever you get. Because theoretically, if I'm gonna be honest, there ain't no point in even buying the other album when you could just go on eBay or Amazon and get whatever photo card you want. If
Right.
you're, you know what I mean? Because people sell it. Because let's say
Right.
that I wanted Gahyun, but I kept getting GU. Okay, what if there's somebody out there that wants GU but keeps getting Gahyun? Instead of keep continuously spending $30 on the album, I can go to so and so website and just buy the card for $5 or $4 or however much it is. Theoretically, I just think
Exactly.
that there's levels to a lot of things like that because it's very comparable when you look at it. I mean, a lot of it's just people's entertainment. I mean, 2K and Man release the same exact game every single year, and people spend $60 on it every year.
That's insane to me. It will ever forever be insane.
So I mean, that's just how it is. You know what I mean? And it's easy
Oh,
looking from the
Portia said it.
outside. It's easy looking from the outside in and being like, oh, that's dumb, that's blah 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 blah. But like, it's just it like I said, it's just levels, bro. It just depends.
It's dumb, but the whole point is to, I guess, understand the details. And I'll use this to get into the next, I guess, my next example. And it creates artificial gratification. And this
Yeah.
is more so to do with the chemicals being shot off in your brain, the happy
Serotonin.
chemicals. Huh? Serotonin, dopamine.
Serotonin,
There's
dopamine.
there's four different ones, but they all happen specifically in different situations. But I think serotonin is the one. Um,
Serotonin is basically the happy drug, if you will.
yes, and they're taking advantage of it, and it's like it's like something that these everybody should be aware of, but it's like trying to tell somebody to stop smoking. And it's like it's one thing everybody knows is bad, and at least America, the United States society has stopped promoting it. But when it comes to K-pop, they continue to promote it by selling the same exact product, like they're trading, like it's a trading card game. But it's like we're not. They don't want to. Nobody's coming out with any sort of type of studies talking about how this is bad for a society.
Mm. I got a question, Yasha.
Yeah,
What? So you said it causes artificial gratification. What's authentic gratification?
authentic gratification would be the type of serotonin hits you get from an actual relationship with somebody that's IRL. So whenever you get these dopamine hits with an actual relationship, not a parasocial one, you get to reap the fruits, if that makes sense. But as opposed to these parasocial ones, yeah, you get these short-term gratifications from these album pictures, and I mean the music is there. The music is always there, but we're talking about the other levels of parasocial relationships that people have when they're willing to spend hundreds of dollars to get these other products that come with these albums that lead to these happy chemicals. But you're not really reaping the fruits unless you, in my opinion, I guess, um, in this sort of conversation, we have to agree on the fact that, or even when you get what you wanted from these albums, I don't really think that having these photo cards count as fruits in these relationships because, well, they're called parasocial relationships because you're not having it with, they're not real relationships. If that makes sense, it's not with someone in real life. It's not a normal relationship. Normal relationship, you have more than just these happy chemicals being shot up in your brain, and then pieces of plastic, pictures of people. You have the actual physical
Okay.
person, and then that could lead into, y'all having a physical, intimate relationship, and then having a family, and then, all the other stuff that comes with relationship. You don't get that when it comes to these photo cards and music albums.
But see, what if that's how they do get it? Because like I say, like if they, I'm gonna treat this as like the idea of sorts, I guess, because
Hmm.
they're creating this fantasy, right? And they really think they have these. So a lot of these photo cards that they have in these albums, they're like selfie style, right? So because they're
Hmm.
like selfie style, again, people are delulu. They're thinking that they're taking these photos personally for them. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I mean, it is what you call it? What you call it? What you say? You said an A word. I forget that quick.
Artificial.
Damn, I'm old. Yeah, artificial. There we go. So it is artificial gratification. Yeah, definitely. But to them, it's not. It's authentic. It's real because you took this photo card for me. I'm gonna treasure this because you did this for me. So all this other kind of stuff. So I mean, yeah, it's like you said, it's artificial. But for the people who are in these like parasocial relationships, it's not artificial to them. It's real because the Lulu and the Lulu just the Lulu. You know
My
what I
whole
mean?
point is that it's as bad.
Well, no, it is bad. It obviously like we're, but I'm playing. I guess not necessarily devil's advocate, but I'm trying to do the pro, the not the pro. That's stupid as hell. I'm trying to do like
Whoa.
the other. Shut up, shut up. I'm trying to do the opposite end of the spectrum of this topic. So
Okay.
like I'm basically, I guess I'm kind of just seeing if I could speak, I guess, from their side of things. You know what I mean?
Well, I can definitely understand their perspective, but I can also assume that they probably it never came to their front of their mind that what they're contributing to is necessarily bring negative causation to people's psyche in the long term. Not everybody,
Hmm.
but the people that choose to take it to those X higher levels.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think, Doc?
To play true devil's advocate, not saying that I'm agreeing with either side or whatever, because I mean,
Right.
obviously, you know what I mean. But I mean, one, people don't necessarily care about what society thinks about them. That's
Mm.
the that nobody cares. And two, that who says that the real like the real is the better way, if that makes sense. Let's
Hmm.
let's let's look at or
My
use the
point.
Japanese
Hmm.
the Japanese people for example, right? And that's not
Okay.
saying that I agree or anything like that because obviously you could send me over there and it'll be completely different. But that's a topic for another day. Um you have recent studies that aren't necessarily just recent, this has been happening for a while, that shows that your normal population stuff as far as like man getting together with woman and creating family is not happening a lot over there in Japan, and you have a lot of the
Yeah, the
guys that are
population is a
becoming.
negative.
Exactly. You have a lot of the guys, and this is more or less because the guys aren't approaching the women, right? There's turtle guys. You know what I mean? They're more in their shell. They're to themselves. They don't go talk to the women at all. And not all relationships, of course, but a good portion of relationships, the girl's the one that comes and talks to you. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you have a bunch of kind of like shut in or like kind of like neat culture going on, which goes on in more than places than just Japan, right?
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
especially within Japan because you have people that over there are pulling up, right? And they're like, okay, well, like let's say that they're already more on the sensitive side. Like let's say if you're a person that's more on the sensitive side already, sure, like being in a relationship with a girl is cool or whatever, right? But like there's already a high chance that one, let's say like they don't take rejection well. Okay, so like why would I let me put myself in Ben's shoes, right? Ben, random dude over there. Ben's already very, very like I don't know, I forgot the word for it, but like
It's just
self-conscious, blah 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 blah
awkward.
stuff like that, right? Why would I even try to come talk to this girl that 9 times out of 10, what she wants is nowhere near what I have? Even if she does want it. Ben's not even going to go try, right? Especially considering that also girls or people that, like, let's say like this dopamine effect or the artificial one, since it's so quote unquote bad and the real is better. In their opinion, they would beg to differ. The reason why I'd say that is because, okay, let's say that I go talk to this girl. One, there's a chance she just straight up says no, and then my already fragile outlook on the world's going to become more fragile. And now I'm not gonna talk to any girl anymore ever because I don't want to have the feeling of me finding some affection towards some girl and being like, okay, maybe she is the one putting this girl in this light, doing all this work, going over there to go ask her out, and then get told no, even if it's not in the worst possible way. There is a way that there could be in the worst possible way, and then they just don't even give a damn anymore. It completely shatters them, whatever. Let's
All
say
right.
the benefits that you have with being in the relationship with that girl. What? You get to do your little cuddling or whatever like that. She makes you feel happy, blah 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 blah, whatever, right? But what about all the bad stuff that can happen? You know what I mean? Let's say arguments, let's say cheating, let's say whatever the hell could happen. These are other things that could be up in their brains and stuff like that they're thinking of. You know what I'm saying? Okay,
But
but let's say that I don't know, Maria. Maria's some character from some damn anime, whatever like that. Maria's never going to cheat on you. Maria's never going to tell you no. Maria's never going to give you attitude. Maria's never going to do any of this shit. And since she's a fictional character, whatever the hell that you can imagine Maria's doing is whatever Maria's going to do. And you can get the same dopamine, you can get the same happiness, especially nowadays how they have so much technology to where they get it's damn near build the bitch workshop out there. Motherfuckers are getting $1,000 dolls that are going to do the same exact stuff that, you know what I'm saying? Do I agree? No, but looking from their perspective, you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, what let's say sex with a woman. Okay, they probably have already been touching themselves for 30 years plus, anyways. Now they're about to have sex with some doll with Maria's face on it now. And since Maria isn't real, Maria could be whatever you think she is.
Yeah.
So they don't have to come out. They don't have to be the earth shattering. Oh, I had a crush on Brianna who was right across the street from me, and I thought she was all of this. But as soon as I got to Brianna, get close to Brianna, she showed me her true colors, and now I'm heartbroken. Maria could be whatever you want her to be.
so the negatives of IRL relationships outweigh the potential gratifications you would get from parasocial relationships.
In their eyes, that could be one of the reasons why. I mean, think about it. I mean, what? Okay, what the real
I
thing is,
understand it.
they
I
have dolls
understand it
now. You can do
completely.
that with a doll immediately. You could do whatever you want. Have whatever sex you want with that doll at any time of the day you want.
I understand it completely. It makes sense. Like this is definitely understandable, but
You don't have to deal with any of the quote unquote negative effects that they would look at.
it's
And that's
definitely
unfortunate maybe for the women over there, or a good portion of them.
it's
Or you think
unfortunate for
so
the
many
entire
Japanese
country because they have a
well, of course.
negative population
Yeah.
growth now.
It looks like more of the guys are starting to go over towards that type of life because they don't even want to have to, you know what I'm saying?
You know, at least here with
And
passport bros, they're going out and like finding other women, but they're staying in their country and dying
they're
alone.
staying in their country just working themselves to death as per usual and have their little relationship with with Marie going on and they're cool, they're good to go. They don't care.
And if the woman decide, oh, American men, they go over there and take them out of the country, well,
And
that's a negative
that's
towards the population still.
That's what I was just about to say. I was like, why do you think that, let's say Japan especially, not all the women obviously, but a good portion of the women like foreign men because they're used to doing all the talking and then foreign men pull up and they don't shut the hell up. So it's like, oh wow, now I'm in a situation where this guy just showed up and he's hitting on me. Well, I've never been hit on before. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of cool.
It's
So you
kind
have you have a portion of them trying to go out of the country themselves because it's like, well, we can barely get a dude in our own country because some of these guys are sick fucks.
of. All right. Okay.
That's what they would say,
Oh,
but just in a different language.
okay. All right.
So it's like that's all I'm saying. It's like, do I agree with it? No.
Oh, well,
Well, I mean, I wouldn't go fuck a doll, but
Okay.
that's just me. But I'm just saying, like, I mean, there's easy counters to like having let's say that this is an argument, but like having a certain opinion on it, you got to look at both sides.
yeah.
I can look at both sides. Yes, I know what I would do, but it's like, you know what I mean? Do I think that those people, like, I wouldn't necessarily say that they're whatever the hell, like other people would say, oh, they should do this, they should do that, they can do whatever they want. But I'm just saying, like, those are some reasons why some of those people would go down a different what do you call it? Now, but that is more with fictional characters than it is with idols. With idols, that's where it's a little bit different.
Because it's a
Marie is
real
a real
person, like
person
they're
now.
living, breathing type stuff.
Yeah, Marie isn't some character from. We're not talking about
Body
Tsunade from
pillow.
Naruto or something. It's just a drawn character that you can do whatever the hell you want with. We're talking about a living, breathing person.
Yeah.
That's where I think it's different, in my opinion.
Waifu and husbandos do not equate to a living
Yeah,
being.
it's a drawn character who gives a shit.
Yeah.
And I guess another thing that has to do with the brain or the mental is that a lot of what's affection that is given by these idols creates false expectations for those who are not so in tune with reality. So,
Exactly.
and I
Yeah.
don't really need an example. I don't think I do for y'all because y'all already get
Nah.
where I'm going with that, and then that of course leads to obsession. So
Yeah. Well,
I get
you gotta go first.
so we agree that they're bad for society. But we understand how, well, we have I guess, a clear understanding of how you can get to such levels of parasocial relationships in the first place. Or, yeah, more or less, right? Right. Yes, 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 something like that.
Hmm.
Wait, what? Are you
Yeah.
saying we agree with you that it's bad?
No, like you all always agree that it was bad, but now after this segment, you have a clear understanding of how people could get to those levels of parasocial relationships in the first place, like to the more
Oh, yeah,
toxic
no.
level.
Most definitely. I mean, like you said, with the like the physical aspect, like I'm gonna say on the K-pop because again, that's what I know. Like when they do go to these fan meets and stuff, like the fans, they win the slots or whatever, and they get to go, have their album signs and talk to um their idols or whatever. So I can go off my account because I've only ever done it once, and it was when Card came the second time for tour, and it
Hmm.
was a legitimate fan sign where you got your album signed. How it was for me and the people I went with, we spoke to them like normal people because we're normal, right? We just, hey, I like y'all are doing real good, like had like a little quip or whatever, little back and forth, and then we moved on down the line, said we said, and then we was out of there type stuff, right? But then in Korea, it's something completely different. In Korea, you get to hold hands, you get to give gifts, like it's like you can have more of a better legitimate conversation, and
That's
like
interesting.
you're saying, it's really feeding into the parasocial aspect of it. Like it's
So
actually feeding
over
into it.
here, it's treated more transactional, but over there, they
Yeah,
definitely create the environment for you to create that
yeah,
that higher level parasocial relationship
yeah.
over there.
Cause
Interesting.
it was so there's a company called Studio PAV. They put on like a lot of K-pop tours. Like I don't want to say lesser known groups, but like not like the big groups. So like not from the big three or whatever. And for some of those groups, they do be doing like the little fan signs, right? And they try to bring that Korean experience over here, which I mean, it's good and bad in a sense of it's good because now, these people over here can experience, the Korean aspect of it all, but it's bad because it's feeding into it. And we all know how Americans can be. We know how Americans can get, and it's it just can get worse. But I'm a go from over there because it's more along the lines. Oh, what the hell is that? Oh, over there.
And like Americans ain't perfect either. We've seen the
No,
videos
I'm
of
not saying
women
that at
throwing
all.
their
I'm saying,
bras at Bruno Mars and shit.
okay, yes, yes, but it's just like it's like you said, it really is feeding into it because now that they're doing these fan signs and all this stuff, now that they're actually talking to them, having like a conversation with them, like again, I'm one of them, quote unquote, right? if I'm able to sit there and like have a conversation with my favorite idol, right? With somebody give me somebody.
Jungkook.
Okay, cool. Yes. All right, right. My favorite idol is Jungkook. I was able to win a slot to go, have to talk to Jungkook. Like, oh my God, I'm so excited. Like, I finally get to meet my husband, and we're gonna talk about our future. It's really feeding into that Lulu sense of it all, and it's cool. It really is because it's not a lot of times where a normal person can talk to, one of their favorite idols or just an idol in general, than others, societal standpoint. And so because of that, it's really cool. So I see why you're excited, but when your excitement grows to a level of borderline obsession, which then is going to turn into obsession anyways because you're already close to that level, it's not the God damn it, my phone. Okay. Um, but yeah, no, like it's not the greatest, but I mean, you have the greatest feeling as you're the Lulu world.
Yeah. So,
You're
right.
right.
Good thing I won the DLC. So with all this, do y'all think that these sort of relationships should be discouraged?
Definitely.
Discouraged.
Yeah, not only by corporations, but I guess well, two levels. By corporation, so they can discourage it by not making these damn albums so damn personal, and sort of making their, I guess, making what they do a little bit more private in a way.
What do you mean?
Um,
I don't think the corporations should change anything at all. I think people need to just stop being weird.
I mean,
I mean that
nah.
true.
You're telling the corporations to stop making money. That's never gonna happen. No matter how much you discourage it,
Um,
it's not their fault that Wendy thinks that Jungkook is her husband.
the reason why I think that is because if they can do it for cigarettes, I think they could do it for this music industry.
Say that again, because you cut out a little
I
bit.
said if they can do it for cigarettes, I believe they should do it for the music industry.
Well, that's different in my opinion.
Definitely, cigarettes are
Yeah.
Cigarettes are
they're
something
not
that
people.
people just, yeah, they're not people. Like they can literally cut back on everything. Companies can cut back on everything that they're doing. They're still going to be the same exact type of people doing the same stuff. The company's
I
able to do
mean,
it, but just lose money at that point. Wendy's still going to be super obsessed over Jungkook, even if it's just music video stuff. And if she happens to see him in concert, she's going to tweak out just like she would have tweaked out anyway.
yeah, I mean, you
It's
gotta
the
think back
companies
like
doing
even in
nothing
the
but lose
'90s.
money.
Yeah. You think back in the '90s when
A
we didn't really
byproduct
have
of that,
technology like that.
a byproduct of that would be the companies having to lose money, but I think that's just the way it should be.
I mean, the companies would lose money, and the problem still would.
Whether or not they would do it, is another question.
I wouldn't do it.
But whether or not it would affect people and their bad habits currently, it's not something that's going to happen immediately, but it's more so going to discourage any further people from wanting to form relationships. And hell, it could even put a dampening effect on the parasocial relationships that are currently in place now. If they're not showing up as much on their timeline or whenever they go up to buy an album and it's not they're not trying to buy 20 different albums to try to collect them all. Essentially, um, stop having these 30-second phone calls because that's taking advantage of people
Well,
and
I
their
mean,
money.
again, you can't punish the corporations for people being stupid. I would do it too. I mean, that doesn't stop them from getting on Google and looking up pictures of Jungkook for free, anyways.
I think they should do that. I mean,
They probably do that.
like, and like we're getting into like I guess my expectations when I'm asking this question. Well, the whole question was, do y'all think it should be discouraged? That's the whole question. And Giancarlo, you say you don't think they should these corporations shouldn't discourage it
No,
with the examples.
wallets because other people are being stupid. It has nothing to do with me. If I can go, I've had meet and greets before myself, but I don't think that I'm going to be marrying any
I don't
anytime
think
soon.
I don't think like meet and greets in particular should. It's less about those type of in-person interactions and more so the type of transactions they create that aren't face to face.
So like albums.
Yeah, like you keep
Is it
selling
for-
albums. No. Keep selling albums. No, I don't have a problem with them selling albums. No.
So what's like the actual basis of it? Because you're asking the first question you're asking is should it be discouraged as a whole? Should
Because as of
be
right now, in
into
my
to
opinion,
basically enabling peer socialism, huh?
yes, there are a bunch of different microtransactions that happen that contribute to these parasocial relationships,
So
and
is it about the money aspect of it all?
it's part of it, but it's money isn't the full contributor to the downfall of people when it comes to these parasocial relationships.
Okay,
It's a
because
combination of a lot of things.
slightly confused. Because I was like, if you're talking about just parasocialism as a whole, obviously it would be discouraged to a degree. Because, like I said, some people actually need the escape. Some people don't. Some people are just extra weirdos, right? But some people, if they have a terrible life, it's nice to like have a release. Like some people use books. Some people use other people. So to a slight degree. Now, if it's about the money aspect of it all and how the money's feeding into parasocialism, I mean, you could dial it back, but I mean, like Joker said, it doesn't matter because the corporations is doing what they do best. They're making their money. That's all they give a damn about. They don't care about people's well-being. They don't care about anything
It's
or yen or whatever the hell the currency is.
yeah, and corporations is one thing, but I think, and it's not like it's even well. Here's an example that's not necessarily related to K-pop, but this happened at Anime Matsuri this year, where there was some girl. I think you might have seen her too. She was walking around with a sign. I don't remember specifically what it said, but it was a sign. I guess you could call it controversial, but it was talking. It said something along the lines of like sexualizing um what do they call, bro? Lollies? She was
Yeah.
trying to she was walking around with a sign talking about like stop sexualizing lollies and whatnot, and some other random dude was like walking behind her. I think pretty sure I have this on video somewhere on my computer where he's like following her, trying to like, hey, you see that? Like it was like it's some fat white dude, and
Obviously.
he has a lisp, and he's over here trying to like. It's so weird. He's like, fight me, and like she's just walking. She's like ignoring him because obviously, like,
You gotta think about it like this, and this is the argument with that. We could freaking debug that immediately.
yeah,
First of all,
obviously,
I don't give a damn how old they are. Like as far as like, oh, but she's 1,000 years old, she's 2,000 years. They look like they're two.
yeah.
If you had posters of these characters
In
on
your
your
room,
wall,
and I walk in
and the
there.
police walk in there, would the police question? Would the police arrest you or have any weird questions?
Yeah,
Ask
no, they're
yourself that,
actually
and if they would, then maybe there's a problem.
And
If a police person walks in and sees your forger on your wall, they probably don't care. And if they see your room full of your forger, they're gonna be like, "Dude, what's wrong with you?"
oh my gosh. And like it's like I don't have a problem with her putting that sign because it's obviously like a type of conversation that people should have. But she obviously wasn't willing or she wasn't ready for even I don't know how many people tried that she talked to that day, but she wasn't willing to talk to him about it. I don't even know if she was ready for the backlash that could have happened while she was walking around that sign. She was probably just attention seeking for all I know, but I wasn't there
Probably.
with her when she was walking throughout the con, so I don't know if she actually talked to anybody or not. But it's like, the whole point of that example is that, as peers, I guess, people who are aware of how this is detrimental to people could create a culture that creates a more normal admiration for these people without having it get to toxic levels of parasocial relationships. I think parasocial relationships in general are bad. Just listen to the music, like the people, go to their concerts, buy their albums. But when you're buying body pillows of them and putting a picture of these people on faces on the body pillow and you're humping it, I think you're too far gone.
Of course.
Or
But
when you,
as a
yeah.
company, I'm not changing squat. Stop being weird. It's that simple. I mean, think about it like this. Like, you look at it, stuff like that. Obviously, we're using K-pop idols as an example, but it happens in America. People do that shit with Chris Brown and Cardi B or whatever the hell like
Mm-hmm.
that. You know, they do it with everybody. There's people spending what, $5,000 something like that just for a meet and greet with like who, Chris Brown?
My God in heaven, yes. It was just like 5 or 10K.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Just so you can talk to him for a couple seconds, who
Had
gives a shit, right?
ass.
But it happens in a lot of places and happens
You said
in a bunch of different ways.
10K?
Call it. Think about it like
Five
this.
to ten thousand
When
dollars
you
to
look
do a
at,
small ass meet and greet with Chris
but check
Brown. You
this
get a
out.
personalized
When you
photo.
look at when you
Jesus.
look at stuff like
Yeah.
this, you have a lot of people that always they sell stuff with Santa Claus. Is Santa Claus real? No, people still indulge in Santa Claus anyways, even if it's kids. Same thing with superheroes. Spider-Man's not gonna come and save you, but people still watch the movies. People still buy all the memorabilia and all of that stuff just because some people are gonna be trying to actually be Spider-Man and think that they could jump off of a building and survive. I'm not gonna stop making my stuff because some people are idiots. I'm sorry. That's just what it is. That's why I say there's always levels to it. I don't think that the K-pop people or the K-pop companies should stop making albums with anything like that because you have perfectly normal people that could buy an album, like whatever's in it, and then put it in a bag and shove it in the corner like I do. I don't even freaking, it's in the bag over there. Mel has a bunch of stuff like that. I mean, from my knowledge, I don't think she's sitting in her living room to some damn pictures. Like, that's weird. You know what I'm saying?
Like,
Now, there
have
are
a
always going to
one.
be
Like, yeah, it's
there.
never that serious.
That's what I'm saying. There's always going to be people, no matter what you do. Like, you could say, like, let's say the quote unquote, like the lolly thing. Okay, so just because there's some weirdos that are going to be sexualizing characters that shouldn't be sexualized, you can't have a family show with a daughter figure being in there. It's a family show. Just because somebody's gonna be weird about it doesn't mean I gotta take everybody out of it.
Well,
That's them being weird. They should
what's
stop being weird.
within the context of, I guess, lollies, usually a dude's excuse for them being able to, I guess, sexualize these
They're of
lollies
age. Is
is
usually what they say.
either they're of age or they're thousands of years old or they're
Which is
not real
still of
characters
age.
or they're
Or
not
they're
real
not real.
people,
Yeah.
which is stupid and flawed on every level. It's
Yeah,
flawed.
another topic for another video because I'd like to delve into that.
I mean, it's very simple. Like I said, if you have posters of these characters all over your wall and the cops walk in, would they question you about them in a manner that's gonna probably end up with you having cuffs on your hands? Everybody in here knows what Spy X Family is. If you have your Forge on your wall, they're gonna be like, "Oh, it's some chick with some boobs, cool," and walk out. If you have Anya Forge all over the wall, they're gonna be like, "Yo, what's going on with you?"
Unless you're Jeffrey Epstein.
You know what I'm saying? They're not
Unless
who she is.
unless
It's
you're
the likeness,
Jeffrey,
like,
unless you're Jeffrey Epstein.
hello?
I stand corrected that Chris Brown, that meet and greet package was 1,000, but that's still too goddamn much.
1,000 still too much. But regardless
That's
of
still
it,
too much.
like, it's the likeness of the character. You have people that think that, let's say, some of the My Hero Academia characters are hot, or some of the what do you call it characters are hot. Depends on the likeness of them. So if people are attracted to grown women, they're going to be attracted to grown women looking characters. If people, so that like that's the whole purpose of why it's like the lolly, like that whole argument doesn't make sense to me. Because it's like, I don't care how old she is, she looks like she's 2.
All right.
Like, and there's a difference between a petite girl and a girl that looks like she's like 3 or 4.
Yes.
I'm not saying every single girl in the world, because that's not accurate. Not every girl in the world has ginormous front, ginormous butt, and a Coca-Cola body. There's
we
grown
know.
women out here that are slender, that are skinny as hell.
We grew up around.
K-pop idols are a good example of it. Some of these motherfuckers be 23, 24, 32, and are thin as a damn straw.
But they sure as hell don't look like children.
But they don't look like kids.
Even Japanese people don't fit that criteria, so I don't.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, even then, they don't look like they're kids. You could perfectly tell the difference between a petite woman and a 4-year-old, but she's 4,000. You're weird. Stay away from me and my little sisters. Like, what's wrong with you?
But I guess here's a point where I disagree, and me and Avery sort of get into the same kind of disagreement as well. Is that whenever it comes to these sort of situations, the rest of the world, or not the rest of the world, but I guess the people that are benefiting or the corporations shouldn't change just because the people can't control themselves. The responsibility is put onto the individual. And
that's what I said.
my response to this was that if we were to let something like this happen, and then 100 years down the line, there are laws that are put in place to, for example, legalize pedophilia, and I believe something along those lines damn near happened in California where they lowered the I don't some something to do with the age of consent, I believe.
Gross.
And of course, people talk shit about it, but there's the population in California is still high. It's not like people are migrating out of California because they're lowering the age of consent. And so
Yeah.
it's like law because of a change, because of a culture shift of the micro transactions that happen. There's a culture shift, and now pedophilia is legalized, and that's just within this context. I believe before, when I was talking to Avery, it has to do with like how like the sort of choices that we allow people to have. How many choices do we allow people to have before we start taking away those choices because it's a detriment to society as a whole? That we continue to let people have their individual choice, but then 100 years down the line, society's fucked because we chose to let them have the individual choice. And it's like, if you're able to time travel and you can make the choices to change that so that you do have a better future, it's like, I would like to think most people would take that chance. But to me, it just makes more sense that you have to exchange some of your freedoms or take some of your freedoms away from your people. Or I can't even call it freedoms, but it's like you have a culture shift, and that just means the corporations are going to have to make less money in order for society to prosper or to have a change for the better. If that makes sense. And in this context, it has to do with the parasocial relationships. And when in the conversation with me and Avery, it had, that's complicated. I'll leave it in the video.
This guy.
I don't believe in punishing the majority because the minority can't act right.
Define punishing.
Well, let's say as far as parasocial relationships, obviously that's a minority. A majority of people are probably not doing that. They're in relationship. Now, if we're talking about, let's say, K-pop in general, majority of people probably just listen to the songs. I would like to assume. Now you do have some people that are, like I said, there's always levels to it. You have some people that are like, oh yeah, that's the wife, blah 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 blah, and they're fucking around. I do
Yeah.
that. That's nothing crazy. Then you have the actual weirdos when you go in there and talk to them. Well, one, you might not even be able to talk to them. You walk in the room and and whoa, you know what I'm saying? But again, like, there's always going to be exceptions to the rule, like exceptions to the standard. Like, so trying to just like saying that, like, not saying that you said that all of society would be screwed, but like trying to fix these people. Those guys were already in their own heads enough to think that this random person loves them that doesn't know who they are. Even if you take that away from them, they'll just find something else. So when is the stopping point? You take everything away from everybody until they figure out how to act right? No. Tell them to just act right. It's like, unless the company itself is promoting something exactly like, let's say, and I hate to have to like delve back into like the quote unquote like lolly type of stuff, but like if an anime is actively sexualizing a lolly, okay, that's different. That's gross. You know what I'm saying? But like if we watch, I keep using this Spy X Family, and just because Anya's existing in the show, they shouldn't take her out because people are weird. It's the same thing that happened with Demon Slayer. People were like being weird over Nezuko. Gross. There's a grown woman in the show.
It is different if, like, if we're actually sexualizing the kid in the show or the lolly.
That's completely different. Then that's when the company needs to probably just be boycotted and not be able to do any of the crap at all anyway.
Yeah.
That's when I'm all like, yeah, let's get the company out of here. But like, just because, okay, cool, like some people make an album and then have some pictures or posters in it, and then yeah, you have like a little collectible type deal like that. I mean, look at 2K. There's even game modes in 2K that are gacha based. My team. You build your own team and try to collect certain players and all that stuff. You keep purchasing it. Then you have a person that could just play the game for what it is, and you have a person that's going to spend $30,000-$40,000 on the game. Should you take the game away because that one of those people are being stupid? No.
And I don't know about taking the game away, but they should definitely reduce the transactions that lead to you spending 40,000.
Well,
What
you
the
know,
hell?
the price isn't even the problem. It depends on how much you want it. I could literally take, let's say that I have an album, I drop
Mm-hmm.
it, and I put one picture in it. If somebody wants a certain picture, they're going to spend as much money as they want to get that certain picture, regardless of what I put in the album or not.
Right.
It just depends on the person. That's why I always say it's levels to it. If you're at that level to where you're willing to spend that much money, you're going to spend that much money, regardless of what's going on. You're gonna spend however much money you need to do. If you're like, okay, well, I drop 5 albums a year, and apparently this is so bad, so let me cut half my albums out, or cut one album out. Those people that are going to spend that much money, or those people that are at that level, are going to be at that level regardless of what you do. So that's why I say, like, trying to tell the company, unless the companies are promoting parasocial crap, that's something different. Then I can be like, okay, yeah, I can agree with you with that, but companies just promoting their business that doesn't have, I mean, the parasocial stuff they got, that's more or less the people's problem than the what do you call it's problem. Yeah, I'm pretty sure those idols are aware of it. I'm pretty sure they teach you that before you even become an idol. Hey, you're gonna be famous now. You know what I'm saying? There's gonna be some people that's gonna smile and wave and keep it moving. It's that simple. But like at the
Wait,
same time, I think that those people, if it's becoming that much of a problem, those people should just stop being weird. It's that simple. Versus like trying to, I mean, you can nickel and dime, you can bing bang the companies all the time. I mean, there's a lot of problems. I guess you could say fast food, all of that stuff like that. Don't punish McDonald's because that the big person keeps going to McDonald's every single day.
I
Stop
think they
going to
should.
McDonald's. You know what I'm saying?
And it's like the type of things I talk about when it comes to punishing these corporations you end up getting into talks of like dictatorships and socialism and all that, and people usually throw a red flag, oh, socialism bad and all that. Dictatorship can be bad. Dictatorships are painted in a bad light because of American media. Dictator is usually always some bad person. Really, it's just another style of government. And the person doesn't necessarily have to be bad. And I don't even necessarily agree with the dictatorship. I just think that there should be more regulation on fucking fast food.
Well,
um,
yeah, but that was just an example, and that's probably gonna go into a
yeah,
different topic. But as
yeah,
far
I
as
don't want to get too far off.
as far as the parasocial relationships go, I mean, bro, if you were in that position to where you feel that way, like as far as parasocial relationships go, you're gonna feel that way regardless of what anybody tells you. And even if you're not actively spending a lot of money on albums, you're still going to think you're Jungkook's wife or whatever. You can sit here and lick your monitor for the entire time with a picture of them. It like that's what I'm saying. Like telling the companies to stop doing that is not going to do anything but just hurt the company's pockets. But it doesn't fix the problem, so it defeats the purpose and defeats the purpose anyways.
Okay, so if if that won't if reducing these sort of microtransactions will not reduce the problem, that this is my last question. How do y'all think we should fix this? Or
You can't.
any solutions?
You can't fix it. There is none. I mean, you're asking people with their own brains who have voluntarily done this to themselves, stop doing it.
So you don't think there's any way to save these people?
To save them, you can ask them to stop. And if they do, then they
Okay, well
do.
that's what I mean. But we'll go into detail here. That's what I'm asking here.
No, that's
You're
literally
not just
that's
gonna
to stop.
and it could be like it could be that one weird person in your friend group, like or maybe this person doesn't have any friends. Is there like a type of culture we could push, or we'll be the first? You can just tell them to stop, but like obviously that telling people to stop these days doesn't really work. So I guess in with detail, I guess what would you do?
So what I do, I wouldn't do anything. My question would be like, what would you do?
I
You
guess you
might
would
have a
just stop
better
being
answer than me.
friends with
I would
them.
leave them alone.